Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Viva La Cats. I am your host, Justin Haas, accompanied by my great friend, Steve Maurer, and we are here today to bring you the very best and the worst of the Bearcats. That's just going to be our new tagline, the best and the worst. This is a 1012 Network podcast. We are part of the 1012 Network, which covers everything about the Big 12, plenty of different podcast forums, video forums, clips, everything you want under one sun. That is the 1012 Network. So make sure to check out the 1012 podcast, the host network, that show. That would be great if you could guys give them a little bit of a love there. And as well, I don't know, Steve, we're here because we have to be. We don't actually have to be here, but we're here because we're all sick of it, man. we're off the deep end at this point. It is December 11th. The Bearcats are officially 6-3. I'm tired of pretending that this thing is not worse than it is. Or that I guess that this thing is better than it is. I don't know, dude. I'm at a loss.
Coach keeps saying we're getting better every day.
I know. They all say that. They literally all say everything is hunky dory. It's fine. There's no problems. And it's just a lot of copium, and I'm tired of it.
Like Bill O'Brien said earlier this year, the head coach for BC football, the sun's still shining. What's up, Trevor? After a reporter asked him about the mood in the building when the team started 1-8. So, hey, we've played 9 games and we're 6-3, not 9-8. So, or 1-8. So,
that's true.
I guess it could be worse.
Not like we lost to Eastern Michigan. I mean, that would have really just sunk the season,
Yeah. Hey, didn't their football team lose to like Long Island University this year?
Probably.
That's not great.
Yeah.
So Justin, shall we discuss? I don't really feel like discussing the particulars of the game, but I feel like we can get into the game for like a few minutes and then we can just get into the vibes. But first of all,
yeah,
I did talk trash, and
Steve talked a lot of trash.
And you know what? In hindsight, maybe it was a little bit too much, but I think it's
volume shooter.
Well, it's rivalry week too, but it is funny when your wife tells you, "Oh yeah, were you trying to talk trash?" Because I heard about it from my friend's husband, who I'm friends with, by the way. UC fan for football, Xavier fan for basketball. Interesting mix there. I don't know. I don't make the rules. He's got a tailgate spot and season tickets for football. So you know what? Your money spends somewhere at the University of Cincinnati. So thank you, sir. But anyway,
thank you for your donation.
But yeah, when you're getting clowned on by your own friends and family for stuff you said on Twitter, that's when
you got like house divided. Imagine mind divided. That's tough. That guy's like, I can't figure out which one.
Yeah. So, but Justin, I didn't really think this game was like terribly played by Cincinnati. It's just another one of those ones in this series where we just get close and we go down by a lot. We took the lead at one point, but immediately gave up points on the other end right away. And you look at the box score, and I think the thing that comes out to me is that Cincinnati did well on a lot of different categories. They won the rebounding battle, shot better from 3 than Xavier did. They were able to at least play a passable defense, but obviously not on one guy that we don't have to talk about him because I currently hate him. But it was just frustrating, man, because it seemed like this was the game that was there for the taking. This was the time to beat the streak, like you said. And it seemed like a better coach team or a team because I do think that this roster, like maybe like if you match up the players like star for star, like maybe there's a little bit more talent on Cincinnati's roster, but they came out and they kind of just punked us from the start. And it was just kind of, it wasn't downhill from the start because there was a point in the second half where we were down by, I believe, double digits and like came all the way back to take the lead, like for a few seconds, before it kind of wrapped up there in the end. But I think the problem, Justin, is that we're sorely missing a post presence. And then
Yeah.
while I did say that we shot better from 3 than Xavier did, we still took 33 threes and 36 2-point shots. And we only went 5 of 6. The biggest difference I'm seeing right now is that we went 15 of 36 on our 2-point shots, and they went 24 of 36 on their 2-point shots. So, and obviously, they missed 10 free throws too, and we missed 11. So, not great, but and there are only 3 turnovers this entire game for Cincinnati. Like, the box score is kind of like mystifying to me because it does seem very even. It just seems like, unfortunately, Carroll, or as Joel called him, Timu Steven Adams, was just the only one that was kind of breaking the game for them, and we just kind of didn't have a guy that was doing that for us. So
I mean, that's been the cadence, I think, for a while too.
We had 5 players in double scores, man. Like, it's and like, I mean, but I think that was another thing last year, right? Was that we had a few different players in double scores, but we didn't have a guy who would just go out and like break the game for us,
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think at least last year, CMOS really got hot towards the end, which I think kind of flipped the game a bit. But again, I think that's the trouble with this game overall, is there's always just enough to make it competitive, but there's not always enough to win. Last year, they figured that out. This year, it's the same story that we've seen year after year after year. I mean, how many times? It's actually funny. I was trying to find this a minute ago. I don't know if I have this exact segment. I got to see if I can find it. I'll put it up later. Regardless, I said this exact same thing. What happened in this game is almost to a T what I said when Cap was on our show last week, was that the Bearcats were going to get this game within 4-5 points, and then it's going to come down to the bonus, and Xavier's going to win based off of that. And that's exactly what happened. This game is so predictable because Cincinnati, I think, is so predictable. I think the issues that we faced earlier in the season up until this game just continued. I think, like you said, the lack of the post presence really was, it's going to continue to hurt us. It's hurt us in non-conference. It's going to bully us in the Big 12, man. Like, it is going to be rough because, I mean, if you look across the Big 12, there's a lot of really good bigs, but there's also just a lot of really dominant players. And that's one thing that I think we lack at the moment. And so in this game, I think when you look at some past years, of course, I think one important thing is you look at Trey Carroll going off, and credit to that guy. Like, it's the same thing that we've said this so many times over the years that there's always some different guy who goes off. But I was kind of curious, and I went back through. If you go back to the 2018, 2019, 2017, if you go back, and this is literally all the way through the 2017 season, there is not one single player for it takes until the 2016-2017 season to find 2 consecutive seasons where Xavier has the same guy go off in this game, where it's like your highest point total, it's the guy who's going to, it was Blewett 2 years in a row. And then after that, you have guys like Scruggs, you had Nunji go for 31, you've had Boom go off, you've had, of course, now Trey Carroll going off, you had Olivari going off. Like, you've had so many different guys for Xavier who have figured out how to do it. And I think it's just one of those things where in this game, Cincinnati doesn't really have that one go-to guy, like you said. And that is going to continue to plague you because you need that at this level. And I think that not only shows up in this game, but this game is a microcosm of what happens for the Bearcats generally for the rest of the year, most seasons. It is, you find out who's who in this game. For Xavier, they find out who's who, and for Cincinnati, you find out who's who. And usually Xavier finds their guy by this point. You have a month of the season under your belt, usually 8 to 10 games under your belt. And then Cincinnati just can't figure it out. And I think, again, like I said, it's a microcosm of all the other problems that we have. And so that's really just where I struggle with this team going forward. I think again, everybody on paper looks like they've got this thing that they're talented at, or this thing. But again, I feel like it's a very diverse team, but it's a very one-dimensional structure where like every guy's good at one thing, but they're not necessarily locked down on all of these different areas. Or it's, you can plug and play here and there, but it's like, what happens when you remove Baba? Like, all right, the rebounding goes out the window. Okay, maybe Chom's good one game for rebounding, but then he might disappear for that game. And you need a big who's going to consistently get you like 10 to 12 boards every game, but he's not that guy because he has a much better offensive game. So it's stuff like that where every player's got this kind of thing that they're able to excel at. And it just doesn't come together in these big games like this. And that's what really makes me nervous for when Big 12 play starts. And quite honestly, we're going to talk about it, but that's what makes me nervous even for Georgia and Clemson.
Yeah.
You got two really good teams there. I don't know how those games go, but if they're anything like this, it's not going to be a win.
And Clemson just took BYU down to the wire at Madison Square Garden this week. Like it took a buzzer beater for BYU to win, but
somehow blew a 21-point lead. Woof. It was on the road.
Hey, we got experience with that, unfortunately.
We made money on that. We took BYU at like when they were like down like 18.
You did? And you didn't tell me?
Dude, what have I told you? I don't need to tell you this. I've told you this for years. Take the Cougs to cover no matter what.
It's just a system play. Okay. All right.
If it's live and they're down and you need a team to make a comeback. I'm not kidding you. For those of you listening, if you need a team to make a comeback, football, basketball, BYU, good for it every time. Somehow they find a way to just win that game. It's crazy.
They got that cookie and cricket power on their side, baby.
So sugar highs, man.
But Justin, I think, much has been said, obviously, across UC Twitter, across message boards, across, non-basketball, like a non-UC Twitter, just college basketball Twitter about, how Cincinnati doesn't really have an offense. Our guy Evan Miyakawa put a graphic up that Cincinnati did not even appear on about how poorly our offense is played. And Justin, let's take a look here. I've got KenPom pulled up. Let's see where. Okay. Cincinnati's offensive rating, it's even worse, baby. 224th, and a top 10 defense. We're the basketball version of the 2025 football Oklahoma Sooners, baby. We've got just an awful offense, but a very good defense. Unfortunately,
the difference is, Steve, they won games.
Well, and also, unfortunately, I feel like defense matters more in football than it does in basketball. You're not going to shut out a team in basketball. That's just not going to happen, of course.
If a good offensive team is a good offensive team, you're still going to get boat raced. They're just going to score more points than you, and you're going to end like sorry, not to cut you off, but that's the one thing that does drive me nuts about defense in basketball is that it is to stop the bleeding, but it is not to win. In football, it is 100% a method to win. We've seen it. We know it with the Bearcats, but like it doesn't matter in basketball. Like you need defense, but you don't have to have defense.
Well, and then, if you take a look at them, their offensive rating is 96 and their defensive rating is 77. That's more of a little bit of a balanced team. And I do kind of wonder, Justin, if kind of like our tempo is kind of hurting us there where, and then shocker, Justin, we are very low in luck, 310th in luck.
Of course.
I feel like we've consistently had terrible luck, and Xavier has 78 luck. So
but here's the thing. After it's like the same what's the term for insanity? It's like you can try the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results, but when the same thing happens, it might not. I'm butchering it, but it's the method of insanity, and that's literally how luck works for Cincinnati. Apparently, we're very unlucky. No, I just think we're bad. At a certain point.
Right. Yeah. It's not bad luck at this point. If you've had consistently bad luck rating in every year of the Wes Miller tenure, I think we're just bad. Yes. And I don't know what it is, Justin. I don't know if it did seem like we were kind of getting some runouts, but at some point Xavier stopped that transition and had us because once we get into a set offense, it just kind of goes away, and
Right.
like even sometimes when we were trying to get fast breaks, it seemed like we were just going like too hard to the rim, or there was just a lot of missed opportunities.
There's missed layups.
Well,
It's everything. And
yeah,
incredibly in this game too, this is the first time in God knows how long that the Bearcats actually won from the 3-point line.
yeah,
Like that's the thing to me. Like that is the stat that stands out is Xavier did not have an incredible night from the 3-point line, but they took exactly. And again, we said before this, what's the way that the Bearcats win this game? Xavier's probably going to shoot from the 3-point line. You got to stop the bleeding, but you got to go hard in the paint. They did
yeah.
that and they won. And Trey Carroll bullied the shit out of them. Let's be honest. Nobody can question that. The guy was making incredibly contested shots. And then even when there was he had a nice like matchup down low in the post, and then all of a sudden he's got like 2 or 3 guys around him, not getting doubled, not getting tripled, still singular man coverage. Dude just slips around back end of the rim and puts it up somehow and just makes 4 guys look like idiots.
Well, and then I know that obviously Bob was more of a size matchup for him, but there was a point there in the second half where Bob was just like, I mean, it kind of maybe it just wasn't mattering at all because Carroll was just like, even with the tiniest bit of separation, was just going to make shots. But it was kind of surprising to not see more Buck Harris on Carroll at all. And I know you're trading size there, but if Buck Harris is our best defender, and I don't think you're going to put Day on him because that is a size disadvantage for UC. But I just in general, your best, like most tenacious defender on that guy, kind of getting his rhythm. And opportune time for this, Justin. 2 UC legends, Terry Nelson, who we love, and Corey Blunt, who we also love. They just started a Bearcats Unplugged podcast this week, and so I was listening to it a little bit because, as our friend Bearcat Nut has told us, we don't know ball. We don't know like the actual talking of the ball. So I'm trying to learn Bearcat Nut and all the Bearcat burners out there. I'm trying to learn actual ball. And something that I found interesting from what they were saying was that when UC was not really attacking as much in their minds, like when or sending a double or anything. It was kind of just like a
dude.
like
that was the most frustrating part. Well, and but I mean, I feel like that's clear to see in this game. You have Trey Carroll, like, again, getting whatever he wants. And the entire time he's just matched up with one guy. Like, you got to start bringing doubles. I know that you don't want to give up other shots, but if you have a guy going for 30, that's why you're losing. Like, find a way to cover him. And this will be my last point on the whole Trey Carroll thing. Again, fantastic performance for him. Congratulations, Xavier. You've done the same thing you've done every single year.
You don't have to
different way of getting it. They've actually, and if you look back over the past few years, this is the guy that's gone off. It's their big man almost every time. Like, you want to say it's a 3-point shooter, but realistically, it's been the bigs. Like, you have the guys like Nunji, you have Fremantle, and you got Trey Carroll. Like, you have the big guys going off, and they find a way. All that said, never played in the shootout before. Guess what this game also was for him, Steve? Don't know if you knew this or not. 30 points, career high for him. How many years has he been in college? Plenty. And guess what? Best game he's ever had against Cincinnati. Like, that's just what I'm saying. It's this team. We literally made a statistic for this in the 2023 season of the amount of guys who had the best performance of their career or at least of the season against the Bearcats. And I think the best performance of the season against the Bearcats was something like 12 or 13 players, which is asinine.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the highest scoring player. That's not even the other guys. That's just the highest scoring player, which is just, it makes me so frustrated, man. I'm sick of it, but it's the thing that happens here.
And so I want to move on from the game to just the general state of the program right now. I think we made some tweets on Friday night, and I don't really feel like walking them back. I think Justin, we all know what the situation is here. And with a loss like that and with harder games on the schedule, the obviously stated and pretty much agreed upon goal by everybody, including journalists, including probably the coach, including, the AD, that's another conversation for another day. Everybody agreed that the only goal that Wes Miller had was to make the tournament this year. And with every loss, that seems less attainable. And it seems that they're going to, and let's be honest, Bart Torvik has them at 16 wins on the season right now. And with losing the Clemson and Georgia games, and let's see here, they would be starting their Big 12 slate. Okay. Only 1-3, not 0-4. But then they would lose the next 3 games after that, according to Bart Torvik. So they would go 2-7 to start the first half of their Big 12 slate. So
the final projection for Bart Torvik is what?
15-16 overall, 7-11 in the conference.
So 15-16, for those of you who are not aware, we currently have 6 wins. So that means there will be 9 more wins across the rest of the 2/3 left of the season.
I mean, are we sure we're going to beat Lipscomb? Are we sure we're going to beat Alabama State? like
Dude,
these are questions.
If we lost to either of those, this fan base would go nuclear. Like, it would be DEFCON 1, man. It'd be so bad. I mean, Eastern Michigan was bad, Xavier was bad, but that would be just.
Lipscomb is a better rated team than Eastern Michigan, and the crazy part, Justin, is that Tarleton State was the best bye game we've played so far. They're at 208, and then the Alabama State's at 263. This is still on Bart Torvik, and Lipscomb's on 172. Eastern Michigan right now is 244. So
I think I want to add this too. I believe it was maybe Keegan Nickerson that had tweeted it out. Somebody had sent it. So credit to whoever that was. But I think the Bearcats thus far, like the SOS or strength of record, was like 324th or something like that. It's like, come on. Like, this is what your record is against that. Like, we just have, again, Xavier's by far your best team on the schedule thus far. Well, okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm just completely skipping over Louisville. It's almost as if like my brain, it's blocking the PTSD from those events.
So non-conference strength of schedule for the Bearcats is 327, by the way.
327. There you go. So again, 6-3 against that record. Of course, Louisville stands out amongst the rest, but yeah, it goes Louisville, Xavier, Dayton, and Dayton's really not that high up. Xavier is hanging in there, but they're pretty much quad 2 right now, I guess, because it's on. I mean, even on the road, that might be. What is that going to put us at on the road?
So right now, we are currently 129. So that would still be a quad 2 win for them.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
they're 105, so it's a quad 2 loss for us. So
yeah,
and
right. Exactly, it's a Q2 loss. Like, you lose in Cintas, and it's not even going to be a Q1 loss. It might be towards the end of the season, but that's assuming that they get better.
Yeah,
and that's assuming that they make progress based on where they're at, which they're not bad. They're not a bad team, but like, and I'm sure this would be the type of thing that any Xavier fan is going to read into and be like, no, like, Xavier fans know this team for Xavier is not a great team. They might not even be a good team.
Rick Brewing had them at 11 wins before the season.
But they're better than Cincinnati.
Yep.
And that's all that matters for right now.
Well, like, and then Justin, can you share your tweet that you posted about the different coaches?
Yes, no, happily. I was going to bring that up. That was literally the next thing I had on the docket. All that needs to be said. Wes Miller is not even, he is a third of the way through year 5, and he's lost to 3 different Xavier head coaches. Like, do the math. Like, you've gone through 4 full seasons, but you've played Xavier 5 times. You've lost to 3 different head coaches. That just, again, to me, is it just, word of the day, microcosm. It is the microcosm of the entire Wes Miller experience. Like, people probably listen to us like talk about all this stuff and think that we just love shitting on Wes Miller. No, I hate it. I really do. But the problem is, like, I'm also not one of those people that's going to look at the situation and just say, no, everything's fine. Like, it's not. Like, the situation sucks. We're not in a good place. And I would feel like there's no point in talking about any of this if we just sit up here and, go on a campaign for Wes Miller to be sticking around here. Like, that's not why we do this. We do this because we want to just say what we want to say, because that's how we feel. And that's what I think also reflects how a lot of people feel right now. So no, nobody here enjoys shitting on Wes Miller. Nobody here enjoys like just this thing sucks. And you know what? Let's just make it worse. The problem is you have to look at this stuff black and white. And if you look at it black and white, it hasn't been good. It just hasn't been good. And it has not been up to par. And I said this multiple weeks in a row, and I'm going to say it again now. Your goal is to just get to where you were. You're not even getting better under Wes. You're not improving from where you were under Wes Miller. You're not getting back to where you were under Wes Miller. You are just meddling right now. And that's sort of the problem, is like, it's no knock on the guy. It's just not working. And at a certain point, like, you can experiment all you want, but if it's not working, you see the potential, but how long are you going to see the potential and hope that it'll work before you finally just pull the plug? That's where we're at right now. And it's, again, I don't want to shit on the guy, but that's just where this is right now. You have to be honest about how these things are happening. Otherwise, we already have an athletic department that says this stuff is fine. You have an athletic department that's acknowledging all of the things that are going on and playing, blind to it. And just, they see all this random conversation about this team happening. But nothing has changed over years. We just are accepting it because the Big 12 is hard, and therefore it's okay to be middle of the pack. Like, if you want this program to succeed and you want people to actually buy in and you want the program to improve, you have to make the correct moves in order to get there. And right now they're doing nothing. They're sitting on their hands. Yep.
Well, and then it's just, I do think eventually, like, some staff changes need to be made. I'm the same as you, Justin. Like, it does not make me like overjoyed to be like, just calling people out and left and right. Like, I don't want really, like, I know what that would feel like for me to lose my job.
Like,
it sucks. I don't want, like, and I don't want us to be bad. Like, I think that's pretty common refrain amongst all of us, but it's pretty clear and obvious that changes likely need to be made, probably starting at the top of the department as well, and going on down from there. And I think the season is just going to play out. And, like I mentioned at the start of the non-conference season, I was excited to watch the players and not necessarily think about the record. Definitely not thinking about the record. And I'm going to my first game since I've been back. I think my first basketball game, UC basketball game, since 2022 on next Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see what that crowd's like, because Bart Torvik has Georgia as 6.5-point favorites against Cincinnati on Saturday at the Holiday Hoops Giving in Atlanta at State Farm Arena. And, it's just really poor vibes around everyone. And I know, like, we were kind of like calling out our own fan base at the start of this year, but like, I think everyone's anger is just like pointed one way. And to me, it's just, do we want to compete in basketball, or are we just going to try and win in football?
That, I think, again, to me, I look at the current state of college athletics as a whole. You look at what every other team is doing. You look at teams that are not as well off or as good as Cincinnati and what they're doing. You have teams that are finally saying enough's enough, or, you know what, there is potential here, but we don't have time for potential. We need to be good now. And I think the part that really frustrates me is we are in a point, we're already like, if you want to say that, oh, great, the safety net of being in a power conference is there once again. No, it's not. Newsflash, we're right back in the American. I would anybody who looks at the Big 12 right now and thinks that that's the safety net, you're possibly safer than the ACC. But guess what? The Big 10 and the SEC still want to push out the Big 12. Look at the college football playoff. you got one slot with Texas Tech. That's all you get. The ACC, one slot with Miami, who didn't even play in the championship game. That is the current state of football. Basketball, we already know the Big 12 is 14-2 against the SEC this year. But guess what? Those two conferences, the SEC and the Big 10, will probably still end up with more bids. So all of that acknowledged, this conference as a whole, God, I love it. I do enjoy it. It is actually fun, and I want to stay in it. And I hope that it succeeds and that it does well. The problem is you're not in a safety net anymore. Like the promotion from the American to the Big 12 felt like this big breath of fresh air. You're like, finally, some recognition. Finally, we're safe and we're in a good spot. Now you're right back on the chopping block again. And to be quite honest, you have to be good when this thing goes sideways. And I would give it another 2 years tops before the teams start pilfering out. The SEC and the ACC the SEC and the Big 10 start adding more teams. Who's going to survive between the ACC and the Big 12? It looks like the Big 12, but maybe the ACC finds a way. Maybe something else happens. Maybe there's more splits. We don't know. All I know is that right now, just as much as it was a year or two ago, it is vital to be good. You have to be good, and you got to be good in one sport, much less both, to really look competitive and to be a strong team if you want to make the cut to whatever this next step of college athletics is. And right now, they're not good enough in either program to really look like hey, what have you done for me lately? Let's get the promotion up. Because if you look across the league across the country, most people don't have like Cincinnati as like a staple team. They have all the Big 10 teams. They have all the SEC teams. They have the upper half of the Big 12 and the upper 5 or 6 of the ACC. And however that thing nets out, you better hope that you make the cut, because otherwise this thing is going to change really quickly. And I don't think it's going to be for the better. And that's just what worries me now. Like, you got to get good now, and you have to make changes in order to be good now, because this is when it matters more than any other point in probably the last 20 years.
Well, and also it does kind of, UC's been in this situation before, and this has happened to UC. I mean, not the same stakes, of course, as unfortunately what Oregon State and Washington State are going through right now. But
look at them. Well, like, they're screwed. They are royally screwed. Yeah. Those are two, like, not historically like fantastic programs, but those are two programs that have been in a top conference for a long time. They're cooked. There's no way they get back in. Yeah. No chance. Yeah. I don't want to end up like that.
Well, and, UC was left out when, Louisville ended up taking the last spot in the ACC, and maybe that's better for UC in the long run. But look at how much more time that Louisville's had, like the full payout, from the ACC to get better. And obviously this is a money thing, Justin. And
that's all it is.
I know we don't have money, as much money as like some of our peers in the conference. Obviously we're not going to be making as much as like some of our Big 10 fellow conference members or, SEC people. I get it. And if it comes down to that, then I can live with that. But yeah, I think if it's not going to be about money and it's really going to be about your play on the field, that's why a lot of UC fans, at least the diehards to me that have been through this once already, I know there's a lot of people that are definitely, just upset just in general with how the teams look. And that's completely like they have every right. Fair. Yeah. But I think, a lot of some of the people who have been around for a couple of these before are seeing what happened last time. And like when UC got left in the American, and how much interest just dropped, and they had to go to the college football playoff to basically garner any like sidewalk interest.
And look how long it took just to get your name back on the map. Like, I mean, like from a national recognition standpoint,
I mean, like, the one basketball season, but other than that, yeah.
But even then,
football is the one that moves the needle, man.
It is. It 100% is. And I'm sorry, a 7-5 year is not going to cut it. You need to be at least a 9-win team, a consistent 8-win team year in and year out for the next 2 years if you want to have a shot at this. I mean, and I don't want to get super out of frame here, but have we all seen what Utah just did this week?
Yeah.
Dude, like if you want a telltale sign of where this thing is going, that's it. That's all you need to know. It's all about the money now. It's all about all of that. It's about the bag and the cash and how much can you drop. And we're not going to do that. But hey, as long as you're competitive and you're one of the top teams, maybe you don't have all that shit going on. But if you have some recognition to your brand and you are a top performer, maybe you get the last spot in wherever this thing goes. And again, you can see where it's happened, like you said, time and time again before for so many different conferences, but even in just the Cincinnati experience.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on the outside again. Like we all remember what that was like, and it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, we all remember what the American was like.
Yeah.
There were some fun moments for sure, but like overall, would you say that you miss the American? I don't think a single person would say that.
No.
Not one.
No. And like, you know, I'm same with UCF, same with Houston. They would both say it too. And I would agree with them. So I think it's just, you know, you're not obviously like the time is come and gone. I don't think Scott Satterfield is going to be not coaching Cincinnati in 2026. But it's questions about the roster, you know, and then obviously Wes Miller looks like he's probably going to be searching for a real estate in Hilton Head by the end of this basketball season.
And let's just be honest too. That's his own quote, guys.
Yeah.
Like those are words from his mouth. So
I mean, it's just kind of like, it seems like tone deaf, but I think he knows. But it's also just like, I think it's at a point where people are just tired of hearing anything he says, but you know, of course you still get dunked on for a quote like that. So
but don't do it to yourself though. I mean,
that's
well,
so just
on that.
I think, Justin, the vision is clear, and the point is that some people, you know, are definitely upset about just the teams not being very good. I completely get that. But I think, like, you know, what we're trying to say to people and what a lot of people are ringing the alarm bells for is because, you know, a lot of other people are seeing like the winds of this like kind of shifting, and that fear that like underperformance is going to have us be left behind again. And I'm like, again, like I said, if it's money, it's money, you know, and I know that UC does not currently have the same amount. I'm about to check my Powerball ticket to see if we won. And that if I can just start dumping some money in the roster real quick and like, you know, really Cody Campbell this thing. But yeah, it's just frustrating. So, you know, and guess what else, Justin? The city of Cincinnati is about to get anywhere from 3 to 6 to potentially 9 inches of snow this weekend too. So, you know, I don't mind snow. I personally like snow, but if you're like in your depressy era and you know and you don't like snow, then and you're not feeling good about the Bearcats, this might be a tough weekend for you.
The winter depression's really going to set in this year, guys. Yeah. It's already started. Here's the thing. I think again, you put a good cherry on it, but overall, I think for our perspective, it's really just comes down to the program as a whole has to get better. Look at even stuff like the director's cut, man. Like if you want to just talk about like athletic department performance and value, you got to get better in a lot of different places. And that's just the reality if you want to compete at this level. I think the thing that I struggle with personally is if this is what you're looking at for basketball, for football, and for so many other programs, Olympic sport programs within the Bearcats athletic department, if you've made the jump to the Big 12, Steve, why would you do it? Why would you do it if you're not going to continually invest to actually compete at that level? What is the point of jumping up the next level to just hang around in the next spot? Sure, you get the TV money. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe that's all they care about. But you've made this jump to the next level. Act like you want to be there. Make the moves that show that you want to be there. Perform the way you want to be there. And that's, I think, just the frustrating thing is like, it feels like the program has made the jump to the Big 12, but it doesn't feel like the success has followed. And we're not asking you to go and win the Big 12. We're asking you to not lose 4 straight to end the season after losing 5 straight to end the season. We're asking you to not lose to teams like Eastern Michigan. We're asking you to just look like you belong. And I think that's the thing is you have to belong. You got to be this whole day one ready that we said we were. Nobody's been there yet. Not one team has shown it. You gotta show up. That's where this whole department is at right now. You gotta show up.
And then I think the other thing too is that it's just not winning, with less than others, or it's just not, kind of like clawing up from being an underdog status and really kind of earning your way. And it's also, just not being bold enough with the moves. And that doesn't just include like, like firing a coach or anything. It includes, hiring the football coach that you did, like hiring some of the other coaches you did. Now, I will give him the one iota of credit. Jordan Bischel is definitely a dude. But let's be honest, Justin, like, are that many UC fans living and dying on every UC baseball pitch? No. Our conference is being realigned because of Omaha. No, mostly because the SEC already has the baseball teams, but that's not what's driving the needle here. And it's just, I don't think it's going to be like it's just frustrating because we see where this is going, and I don't feel that we have a bold leader in charge other than being bold and choosing neutral site games to make sure, which again, money thing, if we get paid, I've made my peace with it, I'm fine. But it's just like, it's like when you look at a crowd, for example, at Heritage Bank, a place that your fans have told you in the past that they don't like, and a place where you opted to go play in another state for an entire season's worth of home games rather than play in that building in your own state, 3 miles down the street from your own house, just because you know how your fans dislike that building. It's just like what are we doing here?
I mean, yeah, exactly. And like, again, I look at the way if you look at the way the football team finished this year, like 7-1, and then you turn to 7-5. Okay, well, maybe if you won that Nebraska game and you started off 8-0 and then you just had a collapse, maybe something got the better of you and it sucked. But an 8 looks a hell of a lot better than a 7. But you probably gave that one away just for the money. And it's stuff like that where it's like you gotta, again, like I'm just tired of making excuses, man. I think that's the biggest thing. I think everybody's tired of making the excuses, and everybody's tired of hearing the excuses. And people just want to see, you know what? Somebody just needs to go up there who's got the power to make the change and just do it on any level, somewhere. Like the athletic department, the president, the football coach, the basketball coach, anybody, just go out there and just show up and say, you know what? We're putting our foot down. This time it's different.
I also wonder too if our other sports were doing a little bit better if there wasn't as much doom and gloom. But I think misery loves company, and especially in this town right now, there's definitely a lot of misery to go around for all the local teams. So,
well, I mean, yeah, statistically, in like 2 weeks, FC Cincinnati lost in the playoffs, so they're done. They got cooked by the MLS Cup winners. How many times have Cincinnati teams lost to? Actually, that's kind of crazy. That's 2 times.
2 in the last 3 years. Yeah,
2 in the last 3 years. And how many times have you seen the Bengals in the playoffs lose to the team who ended up winning the whole thing? How many times have you seen? It's just there's always somebody else who gets in the way, and it's like, when is this, as a city, when are these sports finally just gonna like feel like proper emotional and financial investment for any fan?
Maybe
we're all waiting. We're waiting for the day, because it doesn't just have to be championships, but you gotta show up, man. You gotta compete at some level.
Yep.
This is a long rant.
It's needed though. I think it's also reaching the point where people are getting apathetic, which is crazy to think that halfway through year 3 in the Big 12, and UC fans, after waiting for a conference move like this for like since since we got left out of the the Big East or got sent to the American, and your fan base is apathetic, and at least more than half of them want to fire all three of your AD and your football coach and your basketball coach. Not great.
Like I said too, like it ultimately comes down to, if you get to this level, what's the point if you're not gonna compete at that level?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's people Xavier fans have been making this type of joke all week. And you know what? I've said it so many times. I said it still screw them. We hate Xavier, of course. But like, as much as some of them are just dicks, to be quite honest, like some of them have very valid points. I think one thing that really just rings home for me is when people say you should have just stayed in the American. You should have just stayed in the G5. If you're going to perform like this and you look at a JMU, you look at a Tulane, they're not always wrong. They're not always wrong. We, of course, nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to be in that spot. But look at the state of athletics right now. Look at the state of college football. Yeah, the G5 screwed next year and the year after. And I'm sure if somehow Oregon musters enough, if Dan Lanning finds a way to feel shit-talked enough against JMU before going into this game that he's going to make billboard material out of JMU and just lay the wood this week, or I guess it's next week. I don't remember what. It's coming up soon.
It's a week from now.
Yeah. If they cook JMU, if Tulane gets cooked in the playoffs, like either way, they're looking for ways to exclude the G5 right now. Nobody wants to be there. But in this kind of case, it's like, yeah, I mean, your programs are competing like a G5 team would be competing at a power level.
Yep.
Start competing like a power team at a power level.
Yep.
That's all that we're asking for.
Simple as that.
That's it. That's really all that has to be said. Steve, we've ranted a lot on all of that has to do with basketball and football and all the other sports, to be quite honest. Real quick, tomorrow, aka today, for those of you who are listening on Friday, which is the day that this will be coming out, the Bearcats play against Georgia.
Saturday.
Sorry, Saturday. Yes, it is the 13th.
Yes, but you're correct. Yes, tomorrow is we're listening.
Yeah, you have one more day. They're playing at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. This is obviously a home game for Georgia, just the same way as the Louisville game ended up being a home game for Louisville. It will be a home game for Georgia. At least this one's in their state and not ours. 8-1. Georgia thus far, if you were to look at their last 5, they beat FAMU, they beat Xavier 78-77. That was a very tight game. Great way to at least kind of get a feel for the Bearcats of how this game might go. They then lost 97-94 in overtime against Clemson, the same Clemson team which we mentioned earlier, who lost a very tight one to BYU. So clearly Clemson's good, and clearly Georgia is doing well too. And then that would be Tennessee Tech 123-81, Florida State 107-73 on the road. Here's what I got for this game. Wilkinson looks really good for Georgia, but I think the big thing for me here is they're a really solid rebounding team. Defensively, they've been solid too. And I think again, if you look at that stretch, the last 5, the Clemson game kind of got out of hand for them, and that does include overtime. But overall, they've been holding most of their teams around 70 some points. The defense, not quite as good as the Bearcats, but the offense, far more consistent against good competition. And it's the exact same thing that we said against with the crosstown shootout is, what version of the offense are you going to get that night? Are you going to get the version of the Bearcats offense that is going to brick every shot, or are you going to get the version that competes? And quite honestly, the version that competes still is scoring 75 points per game. So that's I think the good night for this Bearcat offense is against a team like Georgia. You probably look at a ceiling of 80, 82 points, and you probably look at a floor somewhere around 60 to 62. Like there could be a 20-point swing here. But for Georgia, averaging 99.9 points per game, on offense. They're just much better shooting the ball, and I really don't see how the Bearcats win this one, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe the defense shows up and makes it a competitive game, but I feel like this could probably end up going the exact same way the shootout went. You keep it close, you get down to the end of the game, free throws, and you lose. That's what I see. It's written in the stars, Steve. Let's just say right now for me, I'm going to say 6-point game. It's going to come down to 2-3 possessions, 6-7 points, 6-7. Nice. At the end of the game. And that's going to be it.
So I think I will agree with you. I think that the thing that scares me too is that Georgia puts up points. They scored 123 against Tennessee Tech earlier this year. I don't think that they'll do that against Cincinnati, just because obviously Cincinnati's good offense. But I could not be surprised if Georgia gets up into that 85 and 90 range,
right?
Just because they look to be pretty good offensively. Fun little blast from the past from recruiting days, Justin. Santos Cyril is on this team. I don't know if you remember, but we did recruit him at one point, and then he ended up committing to Kentucky with Coach Cal, and then decommitted when Cal left, and ended up at Georgia. So interesting that we're going to face off against a former Bearcat recruit in this one. And I wonder if he's just going to dunk all over us. But it's, until they prove to us that they can, I'm going to think that they can.
Well, yeah. And again, I will say to this point, if you look at Georgia's schedule thus far, their best teams on the board are Xavier, Clemson, and Florida State. Florida State also, to let you all know, has lost their last 3. That comes against A&M, who has lost a handful of games. That comes to Georgia, of course, and then versus Houston as well, which pretty good spreads in all those games. Lost by 40 to A&M, lost by 40 to Georgia, and lost by a very Houston-type score, 82 to 67. So Florida State really not even that good. So if you really want to just boil it down to Xavier and Clemson, 1-1 in that stretch. Most of everybody else that they played is serviceable. They had a win against Georgia Tech too, but I don't think Georgia Tech's busting out any doors. We know how that goes. We've experienced that the past few years. So I don't know. I think realistically, I look at this, I think Georgia's just going to have the better talent. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to out physical you. And that ultimately is going to cost you here. And I think they did it against Xavier, and I think they're going to do it against us.
I personally agree, Justin. Do you know, by the way, what our Q1 record is under Wes Miller? I'm trying to remember for myself.
Should I add this to the sheet? Is it that bad?
Well, I think.
Tell me how many games there are. How many games are there in total?
Well, hold on. I'm putting it together right now.
Okay. He's doing the math. He's thinking. He's thinking, boys.
Too hard.
Numbers. Do the math faster, Steve. Somebody's listening to this in the car. Faster, Steve, faster.
Okay, 9 and 38.
9 and 38. I wanted you to tell me what the total was so I could guess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Well, that statistic is not fine. 9 and 38. Well, we're going to add that to our little graphic. We're just going to throw it in there. Why not? We'll add it to the 3 and 53 when trailing at with 5 minutes to go. We'll add it to
that one. I will kind of push back against because, let's be real. How many teams are losing when they're are gonna win when there's 5 minutes left in a game?
To have a 5% win rate when you're down with 5 minutes to go. Do you know how many games you could be one possession down? How many games of those do you think? That's the real math to look at. We need to find whoever pulled that stat. You need to give us all those games, and we're going to look at the 5-minute mark. When did the Bearcats actually were they out of it, or were they within a few possessions? Because I'm telling you, if this game was in 2 possessions, they have a shot. They have always that's the Wes Miller brand. That is really what it is. If you want to boil it down to one thing, it's we got a shot. We got a shot. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but you got a chance. And yeah, 3-50 something when trailing with 5 minutes to go. Like that is all that you really need to know. If there's anything else outside of that, all that you need to know, can't finish. Can't make a comeback to save your life. And let's be honest, it's a game of basketball. There's runs. It's a game of momentum. And that's all. There's talent and everything. Look at March Madness, man. How many times have you seen like some team that is never supposed to beat this crazy good team just get absolutely dominated by a team like, I don't know, a St. Peter's or somebody who just waltzes in there and, you know what? We're going to do it. St. Peter's, how many wins do they have compared to the Bearcats in the past 10 years of the tournament? They got more. I can tell you that.
Oh, no, 3. Yeah. 3.
It's just so frustrating, man.
And we have one, I think.
We lost to Iowa. We
won the one game. We beat Georgia State.
We beat Georgia State. And then we beat Georgia State. The tournament got canceled.
Yep.
That takes us through 2017-18. We didn't make the second week in any of those years. Who else did we beat? I don't know.
I don't think.
Here's the thing, Steve. If we have to think this hard,
you know what? We won the Purdue. Purdue. We beat Purdue the 1 year.
Yeah.
Who'd we beat in the first round there?
That sounds right. Also, RIP Purdue. Wow, way to get freaking mollywopped by Iowa State. Go Clones.
Big 12, baby.
Yeah. Also, just a reminder, TJ Otzelberger, yes, Iowa State guy, but was hired in 2021. Again, and the other thing I just have to say, I'm letting it all loose today, Steve. The other thing that I have to say is we're in the era where no matter what excuse you possibly could think of, Steve, I want you to listen to this really good. No matter what possible excuse you could come up with, everybody gets a chance to just drop the bag and start winning games. Everybody has a shot to do that. How much money they get to drop is a question mark. But guess what? Plenty of people are doing it, and it's going just fine. The problem is you're dropping the bag and you ain't winning the games. That is the disconnect here where things are not lining up.
We get to walk through the front door with the money now, and it's not really happening.
See, if there's that much money being spent, what else could we could fix a lot of problems with that money instead of watching the Bearcats lose. Like we could solve a lot of problems.
Like I said, I'm going to check my Powerball ticket, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Justin, should we talk real quick about a couple football matters and wrap this up because I'm getting sad.
I know, dude. It's too late. We've been sad. We're just rolling around in it now. You know what? Maybe we do enjoy just rolling around in the sadness.
Yeah, I think that is what kind of happens. So,
as a Cincinnati sports fan, it's your only choice. Let's be honest. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So, just real quick, Cincinnati is currently early signing day happened. Cincinnati is currently an overall rank of 58. Not great, not bad. Did sign Lance Dawson, the 4-star offensive tackle from Avon, Ohio, who did win the Ohio State Division II championship with the Avon Eagles last week. I heard there was a bro with a tank top who went to a certain school in a neighboring state that was trying to win him over to their side, but he got the stiff arm.
Who knows? Maybe he would have actually had the shot. I mean, if you signed him, maybe he was coming back here anyways, because that's just what happens when you cover shit up until after National Signing Day. Anyways.
No. That was
that's another neighboring state with a tank top who's probably busting down a door.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's a good point. And then the other one I wanted to point out too, local kid Adam Kirtley from Taft. He's a linebacker. Sat was like pretty visible at his games, and then Evan Weinberg as well, edge from Springboro. For people who were saying that Cincinnati is not doing enough in the local portal or in the local classes, they got 7 kids from Ohio this year. That's more than any other state they got. They got 4 from Alabama and 3 from Georgia, and then a few sprinkled in from other states. But man,
and we'll say too that Southern Belt is like Scott Satterfield's, kind of like recruiting ground. So
Yeah.
the fact that he is actually getting some guys from Ohio is good. You would expect that. You can hopefully win some of those guys in state, but you also got to kind of go with your bread and butter when it comes to recruiting too.
Yep. And also got a quarterback this year, Brooks Goodman from Blessed Trinity Catholic in Roswell, Georgia. So, and also, if you remember the name Gavin Grover, now the Bearcats have Luke Grover, the younger brother of Gavin. Believe he just won the state title with Olentangy this past week as well. Or maybe it was regular. He's regular Olentangy and Olentangy Orange won it. I'm not sure. Don't fact check me on that. But so, a pretty solid recruiting class. We'll see what they can do in the transfer portal. A couple guys going out, and we'll cover that, I think, later on once the portal fully opens and we see what the in and out is there. And also, real quick, Justin, Bearcats did accept a Liberty Bowl invitation. And isn't that played in a state where one of us resides?
That is true.
Interesting.
Yes, 2.5 hours away from ye old Nashville area.
Counterpoint, though, and we'll get to the whole Cincinnati fan base. We'll get to do a scout on Navy this weekend as they play Army in America's game, the Army-Navy game.
That's true.
Anchors away, by the way.
Also, might I say, probably the sickest uniform matchup of the entire year by far. That is balls to the walls awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Go
Navy,
go
beat
Troops,
Army,
I guess this week.
And then lose to us. How many yards will Navy run for on the 3-3-5? Now, I will say this is a different Navy offense than maybe Bearcat fans are used to because they do. They are like third in explosive plays this year.
Oh yeah, they throw the rock.
They can toss the rock around. Blake Horvath, a pretty decent quarterback. They got a guy with 800 receiving yards at Navy football, which is pretty good. But man, it does. I saw that matchup coming down the pike, and I was like, oh boy, that worries me a little bit, especially with some of the guys too that are going in the portal. So
I've seen us bite on some really bad plays this year, and just the idea of facing the triple when it could just get a lot worse makes me really scared. Who knows? Maybe they'll be prepared for it and they're going to do their proper scouting.
For the football nerds out there, it's a wing T wishbone. Like it's a mesh of those two. Like, man, it's going to be tough. Defensive staff has their work cut out for them. So, all right, fellas, let's call it here.
There's a lot of. We'll see how this one goes. We've got some time. We're probably going to talk about it again before we get back around. We've got almost a month before that game shows up, so we'll definitely cover it again. Maybe some more information will come out. Perhaps some more guys, like Steve said, might end up in the portal. Hopefully we keep some of the key ones for this game because I don't think anybody wants to lose to Navy in Memphis. That's like the most welcome back to the AAC experience you could possibly have. And I remember the last time I went to Memphis, did not go so well. And so I would like to have a better memory there. Hopefully that's the case, but your boys might be there, might not. It just depends. I got some deadlines that week, some really tight deadlines that I am concerned about, but maybe we'll get around it with work. We'll see. So I might be there. Steve might be there. We'll see what happens. Maybe we hit a little road trip. We didn't get to do one this year. Maybe that could be our road trip, going to watch the Bearcats play an American team in an American stadium. That's what it's all about, baby. G5 football right there. Okay. All right. I've done enough.
It's time to go cry.
I've done enough. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to feel joy when I'm not talking about the Bearcats. That's really what it is. Okay. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you guys for listening this week. We appreciate it. Hopefully you've been able to commiserate with us, and hopefully things get better. We again have that Georgia game. I think that's going to be a real telltale sign if the Bearcats are actually going to bounce back or if it's going to be more of the same. Maybe start booking in some things at this point if it just goes south, but we'll see what happens. Until then, this has been Viva La Cats, again, part of the 1012 network. Make sure to check out the host network's pod, the 1012 podcast. Great coverage of all teams, all sports. Really has it all there under Phil. Shout out to you, bud. And as well, shout out to the rest of the network, because those guys are probably much happier than the rest of us, except for, Phil. I mean, yeah, Oklahoma State fan. You're kind of going through
Well,
it.
but hey, they just hired
And
a
the
coach.
basketball team's doing great. I think they're still 9-0. So maybe he's got something to look forward to.
Indeed.
And they have other sports that they're actually very good at. So all that said, have a
Hey,
good
Oklahoma
one.
State, let's play volleyball, huh?
There you go. Have a good week. Take it easy, and maybe the Bearcats find a way to get a dub this weekend. We'll see. Viva
La Cats. You know, Justin, just a reminder that you should really put your salt down before you start, but before the snow comes. And also, why are Georgia fans just still so salty about, not having to play us in this game? Like I've seen just people just, sprinkling in that salt bay just on their roads and on the posts, it just